This week we are talking Knives Out 2, Star Wars Rebels news, Christian Bale in a possible role in the MCU, the XFL, and more this week on Your Herd with Nerds.
Welcome on into the podcast. I'm Brett.
I'm Dorian.
And thank you guys so much for those of you who have supported us these last few weeks. We love bringing you content. And so we're going to do one more week of our giveaway. So listen closely, because if you haven't done this already, this is a free opportunity to win a really cool prize, which is a Star Wars Black Series figure. All you have to do is like one of our posts on social media when it comes to our weekly episodes, comment about your favorite part and share it. That's all you got to do to win this free gift from us to you. So do that. Starting off our nerd news, we're looking at a Knives Out sequel already.
Yep.
So this was kind of, I think, a movie that both of us really enjoyed this year.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very solid movie.
And kind of out of nowhere, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, I remember hearing about it, and I was like, oh, that looks interesting, but I don't know if it'll be that good.
Right.
And so, this was officially announced by Rian Johnson via The Hollywood Reporter. Daniel Craig is coming back, reportedly.
Reportedly, yeah.
There's no release date or window, which makes sense because they're just coming off the coattails of the first one.
Right, yeah.
Now, as far as the sequel goes, I mean, the first movie, we will keep this spoiler free, just so people, except for, a little bit of character, like things like with Daniel Craig's character, we won't spoil the movie for you, but we'll just let you know like what his role is, what he's doing in the movie. So what do we think the sequel will look like? And I love this idea.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first movie was amazing. I'm just kind of uncertain how they're going to up their game. Like, I know that they could probably do a really solid job with, bringing in more characters, because the first cast was insane.
No, it was. And I mean, like, it was very tailored to that movie. And I think if they are going to do a sequel, my guess is it's going to be Daniel Craig's character, because he plays a detective in the movie, in case, those who haven't seen the movie don't know. I think what they're going to have him do is they're going to have him take on a different case, maybe a different family, something like that. So maybe that will work. Maybe it won't. I mean, I think I do agree with you. One of the best things about this movie is how strong its cast is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this movie kind of helped me realize how much I like that murder mystery, trying to figure out. It reminded me a lot of kind of like an Ocean's movie, where things are happening and they go back and really help you understand what's going on.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And so you're seeing a perspective, and then you kind of go into what each individual character's perspective of that scenario was.
Yeah, no, it's a really fun take on the murder mystery whodunit genre, and I think, if you have not seen this movie, you probably should here. I mean, I would recommend it.
Yeah, and so I think we could theorize for a while. I think you're right with the whole Daniel Craig. He seems to be the piece that could continue.
Mm-hmm.
Now, could they keep going with the current storyline? They could.
They could, but I feel like, this is kind of where we might get into some mild spoiler territory, but I feel like the last movie pretty much...
It was a standalone.
Well, it was a standalone.
But so was the Joker.
It was, but no.
And now we're getting a sequel.
Right. I mean, where there's money, there is sequels here. But that being said, I do feel like with this movie, with like all the plot lines and all the threads that they established, they tied up all the loose ends.
Oh, totally. They did a great job with it too.
Yeah, there was nothing left hanging. There's no like mystery that's still like left unsolved. You know everything by the end of the movie.
Yeah, you do. At least what they want to show you.
At least. I mean, unless there's going to be like something out of left field that we had no idea that was, going on underneath, and then like the sequel will expand upon that. But
which, with how good the writing is, I would not be surprised if there was something we did overlook in the movie that would kind of rear its head for the sequel.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I mean, this is like one of the first movies, I think, besides the Avengers movies, where I was like, oh, I really liked Chris Evans in this movie.
Yeah, no, I mean...
But besides his older stuff, like I remember watching a couple movies
like
with him.
Fantastic Four.
Yeah, or like Cellular. I don't know if you ever saw that movie.
I did not, no.
That was a really solid movie. But yeah, he does a great job. Everyone does a great job on that movie. The only one I really had an issue with was like the main protagonist.
Oh, the
Can't remember her name.
I think it's like Mara or something like that.
I just didn't care for her as much. I don't know why.
I thought she was all right.
She was fine. Anyway, moving on, we have some Star Wars news. Star Wars Rebels is reportedly getting a sequel series. Now, it's rumored to be focused around Sabine and Ahsoka because at the end of Star Wars Rebels, that's kind of where it leaves you.
Oh, is it? Okay.
There's a mild time jump to I think that they said the end of Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Which will only be a couple years because Star Wars Rebels is set to take place right before Episode 4 and kind of continue through there. And so, I'm not surprised by this news at all.
No, I mean,
especially with they've had issues with they have a series out now called Star Wars Resistance.
Yeah.
And I haven't even looked at it because number one, the animation I don't like at all. And number two, I just heard it wasn't good. Like it's the first animated series they've done that hasn't been done well.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Resistance is supposed to be bridging the gap between Episode 6 and 7, right?
Yeah, kind of. So like Poe Dameron, like
Yeah.
it's kind of like those X-wing fighters, and yeah, the Resistance kind of coming into its own.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard legitimately like nothing about this show in terms of like quality or whatever.
Yeah.
So probably speaks to like how good it is or how notable it is or something like that.
Yeah, and so this sequel series focused around Sabine and Ahsoka picks up after the time skip to return after the end of the Return of the Jedi, and I think their focus is going to kind of be on finding the main protagonist of, or at least one of like the main protagonist of the original Rebel series, who's Ezra Bridger.
Yeah.
Now they could do a lot with this, and this is kind of, and I think I talk about this a little bit later. This is kind of where I feel a lot of their storytelling is going to interweave with each other throughout different series, and it doesn't matter what time frame they're in.
Yeah, no, like so.
Mandalorian, the movies,
right?
New Disney Plus series coming like Kenobi, Mandalorian season 2, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the new season that's coming out in February, and then now this sequel series. I think there's all a possible the writers of these shows have to all be writing together. I feel like.
No, they're probably talking with each other, I would imagine, here,
because it seems like there's such a great focus when it comes to all, and not just that, like all their books, everything is kind of lending itself to the Star Wars lore and deepening it, even the comic books. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to kind of get into, this is going to be kind of a spoiler if you have not seen The Rise of Skywalker, but there's that one scene in Rise of Skywalker where she's facing Palpatine and she calls out to all the past generations of Jedi.
Yes.
And Ahsoka Tano is one of the voices that, answers her plea, basically.
Yeah.
So my question is, will this show feature the death of Ahsoka Tano, do you think?
No.
You don't think so?
No, because Dave Filoni came out and said after The Rise of Skywalker that she's still alive.
Okay.
And he's the one that created the character. I mean, Lucasfilm could come out and say, no, she's dead.
Yeah.
But based off of Filoni, like, here's the thing, too. People can reach out into the Force. Like, if she felt what was going on,
Yeah.
she could have definitely lent herself to that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess like where I'm coming from is just because you're seeing like or hearing all these voices from past Jedi. You got Qui-Gon Jinn in there. You got Obi-Wan. You got Yoda. You got you have Luke and all those guys, and a couple other voices. I think Mace Windu's in there as well.
Yeah, Mace is in there.
Yeah, so you kind of would assume that she is one of the voices. So she's by assumption you would figure that she died, but so Dave Filoni said that she is still around. She's not dead.
I mean, that's his words. I don't know if she actually is.
Okay.
Now, if you think of it in terms of, yes, these are all past Jedi, how many of the past Jedi are still alive at this point?
Not many.
I think it would probably only be, Rey, Ben,
Yep.
and maybe Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yep.
So, and then maybe some other characters that, Ezra Bridger could still be alive. We don't know about some of the other characters.
Yeah, we don't. Not the ones that.
And I think she was in there mainly because she's a very notable voice and people know her voice who know the series.
I mean, that is true. It could be just done out of fan service here.
Oh, 100. Yeah. And that movie was about it. So,
yeah.
Now this could be about the death of Ahsoka. I don't think it will be.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be more of her in a mentor role with Sabine.
Okay.
Who's a Mandalorian that travels with the rebels, kind of.
Right.
And that's also a thing in and of itself because there's Mandalorians in the Clone Wars and in the Rebels that often take off their helmets.
Yeah.
And so it might just be a foundling thing. I don't know. Like,
yeah, because even like in Attack of the Clones, Jango Fett, you saw him plenty of times without his helmet. And
well, he's not a Mandalorian.
Is he not? Is he not?
Him and Boba are not. They've just kind of like taken up that moniker almost of like Mandalorian armor.
Okay.
I don't think they've gone into great detail. Like Boba for sure isn't because he was just kind of like on the run. Like he was
he played by his own rules.
Yeah, pretty much. And so, and Jango kind of seems to be
kind of
someone who's for hire, and yeah, it doesn't really have any more kind of moral compass, I guess.
Sure, yeah.
He's like an assassin more.
Fair enough.
But I don't know. I mean, he could be for all I know. He has definitely the Mandalorian armor.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what kind of how that pans out. I would like a time skip to where they're older a little bit, even more like full-fledged adults, maybe in their like 30s, and I don't know. Like we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But this is like a potential area for us to see like a young Rey, a young, if depending on where they're traveling, like cameos from other characters, like Poe Dameron's family.
That is a possibility. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine like they would probably use this capitalize on a few characters that we don't know a whole lot about in terms of backstory. Like maybe we'll even see like more fleshed out storyline for Jaina, the Lando's daughter.
Oh yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for our Star Wars news.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna head into some MCU stuff involving a DC person.
Yeah.
At least someone we know as a DC character.
Yep.
That being Christian Bale. And now this is just a rumor right now. It hasn't been. I don't think it's been outright confirmed by Marvel that he's going to be in this MCU movie coming out.
Yeah, I think the furthest confirmation we have about this is that he's in talks to be in the next Thor movie, which is Thor: Love and Thunder.
It's a weird title.
It is a weird title, but I mean,
I don't like the idea of Thor being Jane Foster.
Yeah, but
I guess that's what we're getting, though.
It's what we're getting.
So yeah, Christian Bale is kind of an interesting person to bring into this because you wouldn't think him as someone who would want to be a part of the MCU.
No, I mean, I even put this in the show notes here. It's like he typically stars in like a lot more serious and darker movies here for the most part. Like I looked at his IMDb page before the show, and the only thing that I think would really actually be considered comedy is like Vice, where he like plays Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
And even that's like a dark comedy here. So, yeah, I mean, so this will definitely be a pretty interesting change of pace for Christian Bale here. So, I mean, we'll see.
Now, who do you think he's going to play in this movie? Because realistically, like they came out with a couple ideas. Mm-hmm. He could be anyone.
He really could be. I mean,
he should be Namor. He looks like a Namor to me for some reason.
He could be. He honestly could be a Namor here. And just given how like Thor Ragnarok was willing to like, kind of buck like the typical like Thor setting and characters and like just go into like a setting that was probably more suited for Guardians of the Galaxy in that movie. Like, they could totally go to Atlantis. They could totally, go to some weird places and just stuff like that.
Yeah, and so for those of you who don't know, Namor's kind of the Aquaman of the MCU.
Or as we like to call him on this show, Aguaman.
Aguaman, yes. Yeah, I think there's been one of the characters, and this character was an Easter egg in Thor Ragnarok. Mm-hmm. Which is Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah, or Beta Ray Bale.
Yeah, Beta Ray Bale. It's got a ring to it.
It does have a ring to it.
And he was one of the faces. Like if you go to what's the name of the planet that they're on?
Oh, I don't know. It's the Grand Master, or is that Jeff Goldblum's character, the Grand Master?
It's not Grandmaster. I don't remember the name.
Okay.
I don't know. But they have like this big kind of tower with all these faces of the champions on it, and Beta Ray Bill was on there.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I must have missed that one here.
So
okay.
Where they're fighting, Hulk and him are fighting in the Coliseum, and so that's potential. Beta Ray Bill was someone who did wield Thor's power. He was an alien. So for me, it's like if I'm paying all this money for Christian Bale,
you might as well utilize him to the full extent here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'd put him in a Beta Ray Bill. I'd make him someone that I could use later.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would too here. But I mean,
Beta Ray is definitely a B or C tier, level character for the MCU, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, unless they plan on like utilizing him, just because that's kind of where they are right now, is they have just a bunch of B and C tier characters that they're drawing from. So if he's gonna be, something that's somebody who's more prevalent in the MCU, I mean, that could possibly be, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think they need to just bring Fantastic Four and X-Men into this universe sooner than later, because I don't care for a lot of these movies that are coming out in the next few years.
Oh yeah, like Shang-Chi, I don't even know who that is.
No, Bruce Lee, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I know he's kind of heavily influenced by Bruce Lee, so
yeah,
a martial artist.
Yeah, Bruce Lee with superpowers essentially.
Yeah,
which is another way of just saying
Iron Fist.
just Bruce Lee.
Just Bruce Lee, yeah. Superhuman.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shang-Chi, I can't even say it. But yeah, that, and then the Eternals
yeah.
pass.
Yeah. One other person that I think could possibly be Balder.
Who's that? Is he a villain?
So I don't know if he's a villain in the MCU category, but he is Thor's I think half brother.
Oh.
So
yes, I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah. And I mean, Christian Bale, I think, could probably sport the look here. So I don't know. We'll see. I mean, in terms of like whether or not Christian Bale will be around long term for like the MCU or like as a Thor character, it's kind of hard to say, because I mean, they did pay like probably a decent amount of money to get what's the villains of the villain's name in Thor Ragnarok, Kate Blanchett's character.
Oh, I don't know.
Goddess of Death. I know that's what she's
Helen? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, something along those lines, or
let me see.
Hela, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. So, and so then they also had like Carl Urban as a character there too. So
wait, what?
Yeah, Carl Urban was that one guy who had like the machine guns and all that.
Oh yeah, he's like the two AKs,
AK, yeah,
or the M4s, but I'm looking up Balder. So it's Balder the Brave. I feel like we've gotten this character before though.
Have we?
Let's see. Half brother of Thor, God of Thunder, companion to the Warriors 3, and loyal follower and son to Odin, ruler of the gods. Yeah. I'm trying to see if they. Oh wait, let's see. That would trigger Ragnarok. Yeah, he's part of the Ragnarok. I want to say the name's super familiar to me, but he could be. I mean, yeah, I guess he's not in any of the movies, so that could be potential.
Yeah, that could be potential.
What's his weapon though? Like, does he have a specific weapon he fights with?
I don't know. All I know is if what I played in God of War is to be believed, he's a guy who essentially is kind of immortal. Like, he can't be killed. He doesn't feel anything either and all that. So he can't really enjoy life to its full extent at all. So, yeah, that's basically all I know about him.
Huh. Interesting. Well, he could be him.
He could be.
It says he can manipulate light, too.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, moving on into a different comic book universe, the DCEU, which is not like the MCU in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, it wants to be, but
I think they need to like move into their own and just kind of figure out what they're gonna be.
Yeah.
So the news is that the Flash movie is going to be a Flashpoint movie. And we've known that for a while. That's been the rumor. They've come out and said it, but it's going to be a little different is what they're saying. And I am very afraid of that.
Yeah. Well,
because for those of you who know the Flashpoint storyline, it's solid, super solid.
Yeah. And well, not to mention too, it's like, we already have had a Flashpoint, or the Flashpoint storyline done in the Flash show for like just an episode.
Yeah,
and it was like
it was trash.
I mean, in comparison to like what the actual Flashpoint story is in the comics, absolute trash.
And even if you don't want to read the comics, there's a Flashpoint animated movie that does a good job of kind of giving you the broad stroke of what the storyline is.
Right, yeah. And I mean, here's the thing. It's like, I think if you are going to do a Flash movie, in terms of like where the DCEU is right now, you kind of have to have it a Flashpoint movie, just because if you're wanting to soft reboot your franchise, you kind of have to have like, some type of movie to catalyze on that. And I would imagine they'll probably just keep the good stuff like, Wonder Woman and Aquaman.
So how do those go unscathed then? Because
I mean, it's time travel. You can pretty much do whatever you want with like, like time travel and like multiverse manipulation and stuff like that. What
would the purpose be though? Like, would it be to bring Robert Pattinson's Batman into the fray? Because but he's going to be happening. That movie's happening in the 90s, 20 years before this new Batman movie would take place.
Right. Almost 30 here.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Depending on what year in the 90s it's going to take place.
Right. I mean, I would imagine it is probably to replace Ben Affleck's Batman for one, and also to possibly replace Henry Cavill's Superman, because, I mean, even though we've been hearing like a bunch of different things on whether or not Henry Cavill is going to be coming back as Superman, or if he's just going to be playing Geralt for the rest of the decade or something like that.
Yeah.
We don't know. I mean,
he's definitely not opposed to coming back, and I think he's fine to stay. I don't mind him as Superman.
I don't mind him really at all either. I think he just needs a little bit stronger writing for his part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's probably hard for someone to write Superman because he is very stoic and serious.
Yeah, well, and not to mention too, it's just like, making Superman interesting as like, some guy who's just very OP. It's hard to do.
Weakness except for a rock that's really super rare.
Right, exactly.
So kind of my thought with this Flashpoint movie, when they said it's going to be a little different, I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Is it like a soft Flashpoint, like where he just goes to an alternate timeline type of thing?
And things are just slightly different,
or just slightly different.
Or it's more comedic in tone in terms of that.
Yeah, like what do they mean by that? Because that means Thomas Wayne's probably not going to show up, who's probably the best part of Flashpoint.
No, he absolutely is here. I mean, for those of you who don't know, in the Flashpoint storyline, just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what it is, Barry Allen, whose mom died when he was a kid, he goes back in time to save his mom. And in doing so, he creates like a chain of events, or like a time ripple, where it kind of changes everything. So one of the things is like the Justice League never happened. Thomas and Martha Wayne didn't die in the alley. Bruce Wayne did. And then Thomas Wayne becomes Batman. And then Martha Wayne goes insane with grief and becomes the Joker here. And all of that is just super interesting stuff. And it's like, if they don't capitalize on that in this movie, it's like, what's the point of doing a Flashpoint movie, in my opinion?
I think really the only reason for doing it would be, like you're saying, kind of a MacGuffin to introduce new characters. But here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people can be recast.
No, they absolutely can.
And so, especially right now in the DC kind of EU, like the universe that they have for the movies, you don't need to explain that, I don't think. If Ben Affleck doesn't want to be Batman anymore, just cast someone else and leave it at that.
Or just have Terry McGinnis show up.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
I mean, but then that would probably create a whole different thing, because Bruce Wayne still has to be around.
He would, but I mean, you could definitely like downplay, like, still have Ben Affleck attached to it. Just like have him like phone in like a couple of lines here or something like that, or just only have him like involved in like maybe the Justice League movies, like the Terry McGinnis Batman. But I don't know. I mean, that's kind of a hard one to really like, bring in and like still do it justice if you're going to set it in modern times.
Yeah, so we'll see with that. I think that they're kind of trying to create some interest right now in the movie because, dude, like, how long has it been?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, Justice League, I think came out 2017 or something like that.
And this was supposed to be shortly after.
Yeah.
So like we were probably supposed to get it in 2019 is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So
but no. So I mean, looks like it's moving forward. It's going to be interesting to see what this actually shapes up to be. I mean, I really hope they keep Thomas Wayne Batman in there because, like I said, that's the best part of the Flashpoint story, in my opinion. So, yeah.
Yep. And in more Warner Bros. News, Skynet is real, and they're using it to make movies.
Yes, they are.
So, what is this? Like, how did this come to be?
Okay, so there's been a pretty popular criticism, at least on the internet, that Hollywood has run out of ideas. Like all they do is adapt and remake movies for the most part.
Like all the Disney movies right now.
Yeah, I mean, you do not see like very many original like movies that are coming out and making it big. So basically, this news comes from IGN. So the new AI technology will be used by Warner Brothers in the green light stage, where executives attempt to look at a bunch of different data and decide whether a film will be profitable or not.
So are they making a film completely in like an AI figure is making film or creating data or pulling data that is like, this is going to be successful or not?
Yeah, that's basically what it is. They take like a movie script or a movie idea, they plug it into like this AI system.
Okay, that's getting dangerous because you're basically trying to qualify art and quantify art
based on like machine. On the machine's opinion, no less here.
This sounds stupid.
No, I think it's going to fall on its face here. I mean, because for one, I don't think AI technology is nearly like developed enough to like make that decision and make it well.
How about leaving it to creative people instead of an
idea
system?
What an idea.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like with how many books I read, like there's so many book adaptations they could turn into movies.
Yeah, they have not been tapped yet. Or
redoing old crappy movies like Aragon.
Yeah.
And turning into something good.
Exactly. I mean, because, there's been like a lot of movies that have been remade just on nostalgia purpose. I mean, obviously last year we got Aladdin and Lion King. I just watched Aladdin just last night for the first time.
Yeah.
And, it's a fine movie,
yeah,
but it's
not a banger.
But it's nowhere near as like, great as like, I would say the original here, because
no, you can't be.
Like
it can't be.
The whole time I was like thinking like, this is good. I would just prefer to watch the original Aladdin from the 90s here.
Oh yeah, the animated movie.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. So that being
so
that being said, it's like, why don't you actually capitalize on like the stuff that didn't exactly, make it like the first go around, and actually try to like make it happen a second time, So
yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think they'll learn really quick that this is not going to be the wave of the future.
Which, I mean, it is very ironic to me, just because last I checked, Warner Brothers owns the Terminator franchise. They literally make movies on explaining why this whole thing is a bad idea. Exactly. So I don't know what's going on over there, but
Arnold Schwarzenegger's probably working for them.
Yeah.
So
something.
So we're gonna kind of take a little bit of a U-turn, and I say so. Our podcast, our catchphrase is "Everyone's a nerd about something,"
mm-hmm.
and that means anything. Like we firmly believe that if you are a person, you are a nerd.
Yeah.
Meaning people have different passions and are nerdy about different things. Like, someone could like cars and they're nerdy about cars. And their language, that they're into cars. And anyone who's not into that, like, man, you are a car nerd. Like, you could say that. Now, something that I'm very passionate about is football.
Yeah.
American football. And there's a league coming out called the XFL. For those of you who don't know and are listening, and this is going to be a new football league starting in February of 2020. So this year, right after the Super Bowl. So the week after, we get 10 more weeks of football, which I'm stoked for.
Yeah.
And this is going to be on like major networks. This is going to be on Fox. This is going to be on Fox, ABC, ESPN, and Fox Sports 1. my thing is it going to be profitable and can it work? And the people I think of when I hear what the XFL is kind of about. Now there's the XFL is going to predominantly have the same rules as the NFL with a couple of exceptions because they want the game to be faster.
Yeah.
They don't want it to be as much downtime. And so they have rules that kind of adhere to that. And you if you want to, you can go to the XFL's website and look at all the rules. We're not going to really get into that now. But they're not going to be competing with the NFL in the viewership. It's kind of going to be really a league for people who love football, I think. It's going to be a continuation of a football season for people who want more football, which I'm in that demographic because here's the deal, like baseball doesn't really get as interesting till the end of the season for me. I love baseball, but football is my main sport that I love to watch and I enjoy watching. Basketball is going on now too, but my team sucks right now. So, but this is kind of an interesting thing. I don't think I've ever seen like a new league that I'm excited about come to the forefront and it be something that could be a very tangible thing that people really like. And the people I think it's going to hit are those people who don't like the political side of the NFL.
Yeah, which, I mean, here's the thing. I used to watch football. I mean, it got, political.
Yeah.
A couple years back, and I just and even nowadays, I think it's still a little bit political.
It is, but not as much as a couple years ago.
Right. So I mean, I'm kind of lapsed NFL watcher, if that's what you want to call it here. But
so this could be a league for someone like you.
It could be, yeah.
Like these guys are. It's going to be good football.
Yeah.
These guys are people who are either undervalued, underlooked in college, maybe didn't make it to the NFL. Maybe they were on a team for a while, got cut, and this is their chance to kind of make their way back to the NFL. So it's kind of like almost a farm system, if you will, when it comes to the NFL. And so for those of you who like college football, but maybe want that next progression and people who, continue to play the game and still want it to be like somewhat, enjoyable experience other than watching like semi-pro or like arena football. This might be it for you because they've made a couple statements saying they're not going to want they don't want their players to be political. It's not the stage for them. They want them to play football. And a lot of these guys are going to be playing hard and working hard so that they can earn a spot either on an NFL team or continue their career in the XFL.
Yeah. Well,
I don't necessarily see this as people are going to play for either the NFL or XFL unless the XFL gets huge and then people can play in this league as well that need a little bit more experience. These players maybe just weren't coached well or weren't given an opportunity in college like they should have been.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just going to be a faster game. I'm super excited. I've been talking about this. I found out about this just a couple days ago. If I get 10 more weeks of football, I'm happy.
Yeah, no, I mean, as long as like the quality of football is still like present in this league, then yeah, I think it will probably end up taking off. Just because, yeah, I think there are quite a few people that, do want, a non-political football league. And I think there are also people who just want more football when the NFL goes off.
Totally.
For the season. Yeah.
And like football is the number one sport in America, basically.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm kind of like, man, this is a great idea. I don't know why anyone hasn't done this yet.
Yeah, I think they were just kind of probably waiting to strike while the iron's hot because, I mean, I think you're kind of seeing the NFL's numbers or like, viewership kind of go on the decline the last couple of years. So I think with this, they're like, okay, well, we actually have a market that we can actually make profitable or at least like, take like a kind of a chunk out of that market. And
they want this to be a league for the fans. They're going to be having a lot of fan interaction, it sounds like, especially for the first season.
Yeah.
And if you're interested, if you just like going to football games, I mean, this is kind of something to check out before it takes off, I think, because games tickets are starting at $20 to go to a game and watch it.
Now, is that like nosebleed section?
There's no nosebleed.
Really?
Yeah. So we live in the Pacific Northwest, and so the closest team we're going to have, which is the team I have adopted, is the Seattle Dragons. So they're going to be playing at Central League Field where the Seattle Seahawks play. And it's just the lowest level. Yeah. And so there's not going to be a bad seat in the house.
That's cool.
And me and my wife got tickets. We're going to go, my birthday's in March and our anniversary is in April. So we're kind of going in between there. as like a little mini vacation for my birthday and also our anniversary. And so I thought it'd be super fun to go to one of the games. Now, we paid a little bit more to get a little bit closer to the field, but you can get tickets for the worst tickets are $20, and they're on the bottom level.
I mean, that's super reasonable.
So I think we paid $40 each for ours, and we're like 10 rows back from like midfield.
Now, are they going to be
50-yard
using
line.
are they going to be using NFL stadiums, or how's
Yes.
that going to work? Okay, so
Yeah.
you're actually using legit stadiums.
I mean, think about it. What are they using them for in the off
I
seasons?
mean, not much.
I mean, like Seattle uses theirs for soccer.
Mhm.
Now so the season's 10 weeks long, and 8 of those weeks are the main games, I think.
Okay.
I can look it up too, but it's 10 weeks for their main season, so they have 5 home games.
Yeah.
And games are on Saturday or Sunday. So there's a lot of flexibility for, places. I haven't looked at any other teams when it comes to like where they're actually playing.
Okay.
At least Seattle Dragons, they're going to be playing at CenturyLink Field, which is an awesome stadium if you've never been there.
Yeah, I actually went there a couple years back for like a preseason game and all that.
Yeah, it's super fun. Like from where we're at, it's not a long drive to Seattle.
No.
And so to go there for like a day or so or 2 days for a fun football game,
Yeah.
sign me up.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, and even their season tickets are cheap for a season ticket. So you got to think, season ticket 5 games at home, $100.
That's not bad.
No, especially if you live in the area. Like if I lived in Seattle,
Yeah,
excuse me.
You'd totally pop on.
Oh,
that.
I would buy them probably.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited for this. It's like I said, 10 more weeks of football. It gives me another thing to cheer for. It's something to be excited about to watch on the weekends. And this is the first team me and my wife will both like together.
Yeah.
Because
It's a new thing.
It's a new thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the teams are the Dallas Renegades, the DC Defenders, the Houston Roughnecks, the Los Angeles Wildcats, the New York Guardians, the St. Louis, what's the name? The Battlehawks.
Yeah, Battlehawks, yeah.
And then Seattle Dragons and the Tampa Bay Vipers.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, looking at all their like uniforms and stuff, all their logos, they're all really cool.
Yeah, no, the logos, shout out to them because whoever designed most of those logos did a banger job. Like, they look dope.
Like, my main reason for picking the Dragons.
Well,
I'm a huge Power Rangers fan when I was little. Dragonzord in their green. Their colors are green, orange, and blue. And so, they're close. They're a team that I can go support and won't get yelled at for around the Pacific Northwest.
yes,
So,
yes.
but yeah, I'm excited. What are your thoughts as someone who's kind of given up on the NFL a little bit?
So, I mean, this definitely has my interest. I probably will tune in to a game or two and kind of see, whether or not I like it or not. I definitely think they are putting like the right foot forward on pretty much every single thing or decision that they're making here. They're doing it in the off season. They're doing it when NFL viewership is down. They're doing it kind of like more like, quicker games and like, some kind of giving you like an alternative to like say, hey, I like football, but I might not like X, Y, and Z. Well, this might be the league for you here. So I think, I think they're definitely got a great plan in terms of like moving forward and, possibly making this a success. I mean, I don't think there's like one wrong thing that they're like, doing in terms of like, their game plan to like actually make this work.
Yeah, and I think they've brought in good people. The only thing that I'm really wondering, and this might have to be like self-promotion I do, on my own, as far as getting people to the sport, is that I haven't seen anything on TV. Now, I don't watch a lot of TV.
Okay.
I only watch football on TV, and so everything else is either a streaming service or, media that I buy, like a DVD or a Blu-ray or whatever. But I think they need to, maybe they are planning on having some commercials during the playoffs. That could be something where people go, okay. Because they're going to be on major networks. Like if I'm looking at their schedule right now, and for the most part, I'm going to be able to watch every single game. I mean, I don't have ESPN or Fox Sports 1, but I have friends who do. It might be worth getting for a little bit, getting like a free month trial of YouTube TV or Sling or something like that.
Yeah, something.
So you can watch all the games or, or just watch the games that are, because they're, more like a majority of the games are going to be on ABC or Fox.
Right.
Those are the two networks that they're going with that most everyone has. The only really pay for TV channels that you would need would be ESPN and Fox Sports 1.
Yeah.
To watch literally every game, because the way they have it structured is Saturdays they're going to have 2 games.
Okay.
Sundays they're going to have 2 games. And they're at 2 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Eastern, or 3 and 6 p.m. Eastern. Some of them are a little bit later. It probably just depends on what network they're on and what else is going on.
Right.
Like I see a couple 9 o'clock Eastern games, which is only 6 o'clock for us.
Mm-hmm.
7 o'clock. So that's mostly the ESPN channels. But for the most part, if they're on ABC, they're at 2 p.m. If they're on Fox, they're at 5 p.m. So pretty good time slots, especially for Saturdays and Sundays. And it's still winter, so people are going to be inside.
Yeah.
It's a little bit chilly out. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the XFL, and I'm hoping that, it just gives me something else to look forward to in the winter as far as the sport. So, yeah.
Fair enough.
Seattle Dragons. All right, so that's, I guess, it for the XFL, So I just implore all of you, go let's check it out. Let's make this thing something to where we have 10 more weeks of football. Mm-hmm. I would be thankful. So anyway, we're going to move into some Nintendo news. We had a Nintendo Direct as of January 9th.
Yep.
Now, I am someone who loved this Direct. Dorian is someone who did not necessarily care for this Direct at all.
No, I mean, this is a Pokemon Direct. And
yes.
This is, for Pokemon fans,
fire.
Happy for you.
Yeah, I was excited watching this. This is like the first Direct in a while where I was just like, this is amazing. And I am so thankful that they're doing this. Now, it wasn't perfect. Some people were saying, was this the perfect Direct?
I mean, it's just there to give you news here. It's like,
yeah, that's all it is.
I mean, so what, I mean, granted, if it's news that makes you excited, as far as I'm concerned, the Direct did its job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what would have been cool, though?
What's that?
So, well, I'll back up. I thought this Direct was complete fire. And so I know a lot of people were mad that there wasn't any Smash news or this and that. There's been enough Smash news for you Smash people. I'm a Smash person as well. Maybe not as deep as Dorian is, but there's been enough Directs where there's been Smash news. Let Pokemon have their shot. Here's what I'm saying. That doesn't mean we're not going to have a Direct next month.
No, and I mean,
we could have a Direct next month about the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So people just calm your little panties down, because it's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that there is going to be probably a big 2020 Direct that's going to be happening probably in a couple of weeks, if not sometime next month. That being said, I mean, yeah, I do wish this was that Direct right now, and the Pokemon Direct came after that. But I mean, it's still coming. I mean, we all know it's coming. Yeah.
So, kind of just a brief overview of what's going on. I was so excited when I saw the news, because this is history for Pokemon fans, because this is the first ever DLC we're getting.
Yeah.
Now, if you think about it in the terms of the mainline games, so we would get DLC every year, but it'd be a different game, basically. You'd have
You'd
have Black and White, and then Black and White 2, or you'd have Sun and Moon, and then Ultra Sun and Moon. The second games are essentially DLC. The mainline game is the mainline game.
Right.
They come out with another full game that adds to the story. Now, what they're doing is similar to that of most video game, I guess, any video game out there now, that they'll come out with some DLC later, which is downloadable content that adds to the story, or it'll give you new missions, new skins, new whatever. And Pokemon is now kind of copying and coming along that same vein, because it's in a mainline console now.
Yeah, it's modernizing some of its industry practices here.
For sure. And so it is paid. It's $30, which is very typical for any DLC.
I would say yes, for if it's going to be
for a pass.
For an expansion pass, or a full-on expansion, which this seems more in line of, as opposed to just say a extra mission type DLC.
No, yeah, this is going to be, I think, hours of more gameplay, catching more Pokemon. So, just briefly, there's going to be over 200 more Pokemon added to the Pokedex.
Now, real quick, is that going to be new Pokemon?
No.
Okay.
There's going to be a mix. So there's going to be some new,
okay,
and I would say most are from other generations of Pokemon, which I think everyone's okay with.
Well, especially considering how like a lot of people were kind of mad that they weren't able to incorporate the entire Pokédex in this game with like, you know, all the previous generations of Pokemon here. So I think that's probably going to be getting some goodwill towards those people. At least I would think so.
Yeah, and I would say those people could be mad right now, which I would also be okay with them being mad because we're having to pay for this content that should have probably already been in the game.
That is probably true, yes.
But I'm excited because it's going to continue the story. We're getting new Dynamax forms. We're getting Dynamax forms for the 3 starters, which should have been in the game from the get-go. It was so stupid that they didn't have Dynamax forms or Gigantamax. Sorry, they do have Dynamax forms. I meant Gigantamax, where when they Dynamax, they become even bigger, and they kind of look a little bit different.
Okay.
New legendaries. Now this is really cool because
that's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah, like there's new legendaries, and I won't go into full detail, but the thing that stood out to me was it looked as if there was a Zapdos, Articuno, and Moltres Galarian forms. Now these are new forms for this region, which is super weird to me because those are the legendary birds of the original series.
Yeah, the
red and blue version.
Yeah, the original legendaries. Yeah,
and so I thought this was super weird. I'm like, why would these legendaries be in a different region and be in different forms? But who knows? So it looks like we're getting that. There's going to be new gyms, new storyline, and new areas. The new areas that are coming, I can't remember the names of them. It's like Armor Island and then something else. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, I think like Crown something.
Yeah, and there's the Armor Isle is just like another island, and then the second one is like an ice island, basically, if you think of it in those terms, like it's snow-based. These areas are going to be an extension kind of the wild area, meaning you're going to have 360 view. You're not just going to be running around and not be able to move the camera, because in the wild area, you can move the camera around and ride your bike around. And there's going to be, for those people who like it, you're going to have new customization for your bike, new customization for your character.
Yeah.
A whole bunch more max raid battles, I'm guessing. It's just what every Pokemon fan wanted to hear, I feel like. And they're coming out with a redone version of a mystery dungeon game they did about 10 years ago. So if you need your Pokemon fix, comes out in March. The demo dropped yesterday.
Are you a big fan of those mystery dungeon games? No,
not really.
Okay.
I did download the demo just to kind of check it out again. My little brother played it, though, so he might be excited for that.
Okay.
More Nintendo news. There's an eShop sale going on. So if you're a digital guy, listen up.
Yeah.
So what do we got?
So for starters, we have a couple of first-party Nintendo games on sale, which, here's the thing. It's like about only $20 off the full price.
Yep.
But very rarely does Nintendo actually discount their first-party stuff here. So if you're looking to like get on, like say something like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for, cheaper price than $60,
this is your shot.
This is your shot, yes.
Who knows if it'll ever come back?
Who knows? I mean, Nintendo's kind of weird about like discounting their first party stuff. They typically do that, I think, towards the end of the console's lifespan here, which is kind of interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a business model guy, so
we'll probably get a Switch Pro like next month or something.
We'll see.
I hope not. I don't want to pay for that.
I don't want to either. At least not right now.
Yeah.
But Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, $15 again. Absolute fantastic price for that game.
Go pick it up.
There's also a lot of indie games that are half price. Like Celeste is one that's half price.
Yep. Slay the Spire.
Which is
one of my games I want to play.
Yeah. Katana Zero, which I did pick up on this sale, is I think half price as well. So there's just quite a bit of games on there that you should honestly just kind of check out, see if there's anything on your wish list that's popping up for a smaller price, and just go for it here, in my opinion.
Yeah, because, for sure.
We typically don't get sales this good every week.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
And so more game news. We have a new tease for the next Arkham game. For those of you who like the Arkham game, the Batman games, really amazing series they did.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. But what's the news here?
So WB Montreal, which are the guys who made Arkham Origins, they uploaded an image on their website, which is basically a kind of like a giant insignia with like a bunch of circles in
Like
it.
you mean a Batman symbol?
No.
Oh.
It's kind of like very. It's hard to explain without like showing you the image, but
Okay.
it's basically made up of these. Like it has a bunch of circles that looks like are the placeholders for crest. So like for example, the League of Assassins crest is on there, and then another crest that looks like it's the Gotham City Police Department badge's crest on there. So I mean,
I'll have to check this out.
and so obviously, here's the thing: this is something that I think a lot of people on the internet have known to be coming here. There's been teases and leaks about this game for a while now, and we also know that the Court of Owls is probably going to make an appearance.
Such a cool storyline for them to do.
It would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked it.
So that being said, there are 8 spots left on that insignia that they put up there.
Okay.
So I don't know.
So you don't think this is a remake of
no,
the
I don't.
other games?
No, I think this is going to be a completely new game. I think who knows? Maybe they're waiting for like the next gen, like PlayStation 5, Xbox,
could be, which will be this year.
Yeah. So that might be the only reason why they've legitimately have not announced this game yet, and it's kind of driving me nuts.
It'll probably be on both consoles because it's right when this new console's launching. There's still going to be a lot of people who aren't going to be buying the new consoles right away.
That could
Me
be
being
true.
one
yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to play this. I'm not going to get a new console to play this game either.
Sure,
This is not a game that's driving me to go get a new console. But I do really, really, really enjoy the Arkham games. They're super fun.
Yeah, no, and I'm always down for more Arkham games. I mean, that being said, this is coming from the Arkham Origins guys, which, here's the thing, Arkham Origins, it's a solid game. It's not as good as, like, the main 3 that were made by Rocksteady here, which is Arkham Asylum, City, and Night.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But I just think, everybody knows it's happening. Just announce it, put out, like, maybe a cinematic trailer, and just, stop screwing around.
Yeah. Well, that's it for our nerd news. We're going to be moving into our roundtable review. Dorian, take it away.
All right. So first up for this week, I just got into Death Stranding for the first time. So basically, I'm going to give a few first impressions. I put about 10 hours into this game, and I'm going to keep it as spoiler-free as I possibly can.
Okay.
If anything, there might be mild spoilers. Maybe not. So, that being said, what I like about this game so far is it definitely has that quality that you would expect from a Kojima game, which, if you don't know who Hideo Kojima is, he's the guy who made the Metal Gear games. And typically, those games are considered like some of the best games ever made and have like tons of attention to detail usually. Definitely has like really good graphics. I was really surprised at how good some of the landscapes look in that game. And also just very cool cinematic style, that's kind of Kojima's trademark, I would say. He's a very cinematic person when it comes to like, doing things in video games. Like he had like cutscenes in, I think on the PlayStation 1 that kind of blew my mind when I first saw him, because I'm like, how did they manage to like have this good of cutscenes in 1998 here,
Yeah.
So the premise that and the world building that's, we're introduced to for this game is actually pretty cool and interesting. It's something I want to learn more about. It's something I want to see, how it shakes out and all that good stuff. So far, the main criticism I've heard on this game is just the gameplay is just not very engaging. And because essentially what you're doing is you're playing as Norman Reedus, who is
from The Walking Dead.
Yeah, from The Walking Dead. And he's essentially like a delivery man. And in a post-apocalyptic world, he's like the Amazon or the FedEx delivery man guy.
So you're an errand boy, basically.
Essentially, yes. I mean,
and you have a baby for some reason.
There's more to it than that. But
is there a fighting
element
to it?
There is fighting, because there will be like these people that are kind of like who have broken off from like, the main cities, and they have like their little outposts that try to steal your stuff and all that. So So you can like fight them. You can like grab like one of the cases that you're carrying and like just whip them in the face with it and all that. So but it's very basic. It's not like going to be anything like combat like The Witcher or like Batman Arkham or something like that. Here.
Gotcha.
So,
okay.
But that being said, I mean, the gameplay is basically consisting of like you're trying to pack as much stuff onto Norman Reedus's back as possible without like making it too awkward for you to like traverse like the landscape here.
Interesting.
So basically, what you're doing is, what you do is you create like bridges and ladders and like ropes that will stay in the game forever when you do it, and you can actually once you establish like a.
So it's Fortnite.
Yeah, I mean,
can you just run and it builds in front of you, or how does that work?
No, it does. It's not like that here.
Oh, okay.
So, like for example, you have to like pack on like your equipment here, so that does add to your weight load. So you can't just
so
have
this
like.
is a game about
500
just going to work.
Pretty much.
You're just working. You're a working man.
Pretty much, but I mean, one of the things that does make this game interesting is like there's like this spectral force out there that is essentially, from what I understand, is kind of the cause of the apocalypse, called like the Death Stranding or the BTs. And
the BTs?
The BTs here.
What's that?
I forget what they
like B period T period apostrophe S? Okay.
Yeah. I forget what they what it's abbreviated for, but basically what it is like they're these like kind of like ghost like figures that are invisible. So, but all is
Dementors.
Like, the Dementors. But basically what it is like you go in and you have like this little thing on your backpack. It's kind of like reminds me of Bill Burr's
the gun backpack.
Yeah, the gun backpack, but it's a detector, and like it like kind of points in the direction where the BTs are when you're in a BT area, and you can't see them.
So it's like an infected area.
It can just they can. It's not necessarily an infected area. It could just happen like because they just kind of like travel like almost like a weather pattern almost.
Oh, interesting.
And basically what you're doing is you're kind of having to like make sure that you're not like alerting the BTs to your presence, because they can't necessarily see you either, but they can hear you. So you have to like, if you get really close, you have like a button that will like make you hold your breath for like a limited amount of time. That way you make less noise and all that. That way they don't hear you. And yeah, so I mean, I think so far gameplay is interesting just because it does always like every major mission you do, it gives you like a new mechanic to work with. Like say, oh, now you've unlocked like this thing that allows you to like put ladders out there, or you've unlocked this thing here. So kind of makes essentially like the mundane chore of like walking from point A to point B a little bit more interesting, I guess. So that being said, it's not going to be for everybody.
No, I feel like I would get really bored in this game.
I think you probably would. I don't think it's your kind of game here, but I mean, I do feel like the story and like the world that Kojima has built in this game, pretty good. I think it might have been like better done as like maybe a movie or a TV series, just because like I said, the gameplay is not like I think the main draw here. I think it's like the world and the story here for the most part. But so far enjoying it. I might get burned out later. We'll see. But that's just my thoughts and opinions on it, just as as of recording this podcast.
Cool.
So next up, we have The Rise of Kylo Ren, which is a comic.
Yeah.
And you've actually read this. I have not. So why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. So I thought it was a pretty solid issue. I talked about the first issue, I think two weekly shows ago, I want to say.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Which I thought it was fine. It was an intro. It kind of gives us it hops around as far as like the time frame of it, because the actual like not storyline, what am I looking? Oh, timeline is that of the flashback we get in The Force Awakens when Luke's Jedi Temple is being burned down, and then we also get the scene where Luke's talking about what happened and Ben's talking about what happened when Luke is seemingly attacking him in The Last Jedi.
Right.
So it's that storyline where it's a younger Ben Solo, but not super young.
Yeah.
And so at the beginning of this issue, he's talking with Snoke and talking about, hey, I want to, go reach out to the Knights of Ren again. This is right after he has left the Jedi Order, essentially. And so he's basically like, hey, well, you're going to have to, there's a sacrifice that comes with, joining the Knights of Ren.
Really?
Yeah. And so Snoke's alluding to that, and they talk about the dark side a lot in this and how the dark side, you change who you are, basically. That's why a lot of them change their names. And Snoke's name, we find out, wasn't always Snoke. Now, I don't know what that means, and we might not ever know what that means. But, kind of teasing the whole Kylo Ren thing and how he's always had that name in his head. Ben has, at least, the Kylo.
Okay.
No idea why.
Interesting.
And so he's like, well, it's kind of a stupid name type of thing. And then they go back in time. So they go back to Ben's he's having a memory, I think, kind of, and there's a story of how he encountered the Knights of Ren for the first time.
So just to be clear, they don't physically travel back in time.
No.
It's just the comic.
The comic book jumps back in time to the first time Ben met the Knights of Ren.
Okay, gotcha.
We had them teased in the first issue, and now Ben's actually going to meet these people.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a solid issue. It gives us insight into characters. We've kind of been waiting for an explanation, I feel like. One of the characters being Lord Sintekka. Lord Sintekka was in the beginning of the Force Awakens. He was that older guy in the hut that Poe Dameron was going to get the map from.
Yeah.
And he's in this issue.
Really?
So he's a friend of Luke's.
Okay.
He is an ally of the Jedi. Now, I don't know what that means. I don't know if he is an ex-Jedi or someone who was just a Jedi kind of affiliate, like he was, allied with the Jedi or whatever it might have been.
He's a donor.
Yeah, exactly. And so he's definitely understanding of the Force, understanding of the Jedi, what they were.
The importance of them and all that
The importance of them. And so they're going on a mission to an old Jedi outpost, basically.
Okay.
And they're basically, the way that they're kind of explaining it is like, it's like this, they're on a treasure hunting mission to look for artifacts that the Jedi have left behind.
Okay.
Now they get to this place. It's a treasure trove of, Jedi holocrons, which is like basically, think of it like a textbook, but in video, like a video thing that has a lot of information that's interactive. They find some weapons. And the Knights of Ren show up there. They're like, hey, this is our stuff. And Luke's like, no, this is a Jedi outpost. I am a Jedi. I'm the last Jedi.
Yep.
And you're going to have to basically go through me to take any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's a cool fight scene, and Luke kind of owns all the Knights of Ren by himself.
That's dope.
And then you kind of get this dialogue between Ren, the leader of the Knights of Ren. He takes off his helmet. He's a normal guy. He's got that red lightsaber. He talks about the dark side as a shadow. Like they're not Sith.
Yeah.
But they do dabble in the dark side. Like that is, and talks about it as the dark side as being a shadow, which I'm not sure why it's alluding to that. And he can sense it in Ben even at his young age.
Yeah.
And so they kind of allude to, this was hundreds of years ago. This Jedi outpost was abandoned. Now, this is kind of like theory territory. The next series we're potentially getting is set in the High Republic. That's the name fans are giving it.
Right.
Which is about 500 years before the prequels. And this Jedi outpost would have been active during that time. That's at least what it's alluding to. And so they're really tying in even these theories of this next era we're going to get of Jedi,
right?
Which is rumored to have a younger Yoda and those sorts of things. So I thought the issue was good. It's like wait to buy the issue. I feel like maybe wait for like a graphic novel because it's gonna be a 4-part series.
Okay.
But yeah, I thought it was good. Now you kind of get more understanding of how important Lord Sintekka was and why he would know where Luke was.
Okay.
They were pretty good friends, it seemed like.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so. No, I thought it was pretty good. Cool action shots of Luke being Luke and doing some moves we saw him do in the Last Jedi.
Oh, really?
You know, kind of does like that back bend thing.
Oh, you're talking about when he's projecting himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I mean,
he does that in real time as far as like in the comic.
That's
so it's
cool.
like his like a signature move of his almost.
That's cool. So
where
I mean,
he does the limbo.
Yeah, because I mean, one of the things that I was a little disappointed with is we never really got to see Luke in action physically or in the flesh here. So I mean, being able to see that is that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, that was it for the issue. I thought it was good. I'm also, this is not on the show notes, but I'm also reading, I just found out, and we had, I think, talked about this previously, that maybe just me and you, I don't know, I don't think it was on the podcast, but as far as comics go, the Ninja Turtle Power Ranger crossover they're doing. Yeah. They have 2 issues out now. I just picked up, I have the second issue. They're like $2. I get them digitally.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I picked up one of them today.
That's cheap for a comic here.
Yeah, I'd read the first one. When I was picking up I forgot to talk about it, but I was picking up the first Kylo Ren issue.
Okay.
And interesting. And now they've come out. Me and you both saw that. So Shredder's obviously the main antagonist. Yeah. They're set in the same world. There's no world skipping.
So there's no
they're just in New York, and the Power Rangers are in Angel Grove. So they're in the same universe.
Okay.
Which that could be a whole different thing when it comes to the movies and stuff.
I think they opened a can of worms with that here.
They potentially did. And so, So anyways, like Shredder apparently is going to have the power of the Green Ranger, or that's pretty much what it looks like. Is like we get a Shredder Green Ranger, which is kind of a cool concept and idea that I'm interested in seeing.
The costume looks sick.
Yeah, super sick. Anyway, but that's it for comic news. As far as reviews and stuff, I went and saw The Rise of Skywalker again. Yeah, so it's not super notable. Like, I still enjoyed the movie. I thought it was great still, again. Okay. There are different things I got to pick up on as the movie was progressing, and one of that being a storyline I really don't like.
So real quick, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it.
Spoiler alert for The Rise of Skywalker. It's been out for a month, and if you haven't seen it...
What's your problem?
You're not a human. So I went and saw this in the Dolby, which has an amazing sound system. Okay. Good screen. Too loud in my opinion. Like, my wife had to wear earplugs. Really? Yeah, it's really loud. But still good around the second time. I think the smaller characters, I was able to see them serve the story better than I had in the first viewing.
So which characters would that be?
So Janna.
Okay.
And well, Janna really with her whole arc and her being able to want to fight and be a part of the resistance as kind of like a repentance of what she had done before and her laying down and being a deserter, I think did add to Finn's storyline a little bit. Okay. And it gave her like a reason and a purpose to join the fight. And then weirdly enough, the Reylo storyline.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like not that there was more to it, but you see more nods throughout the movie of, oh, okay, I see. Knowing the outcome of it, you kind of see where they're going with it more the second time around.
You're able to expect it more, maybe pick up on some things.
Yeah, you're like, okay, I guess it was kind of sprinkled throughout. I just didn't see it because I didn't really want to see it and didn't want that to be an actual storyline.
Sure. Well, I mean, the Reylo stuff, I mean, I definitely feel like was teased in Last Jedi here with their connection. And you think that's, where it's going at that point. But then, things happen and they pretty much seems like they kind of nipped that in the bud by the end of the movie here. So yeah, I still think it's good. It didn't change the spot of where it's at on my list as far as Star Wars movies go. I'd still put it in that 6th spot out of the 9 movies. Okay. Now I'm gonna go back through and rewatch, I think, all the Star Wars here in the soon foreseeable future. Is that gonna have to be a deep dive here where we just go through each
probably
episode?
Probably go through the at least. So I'm going to do it in a different order because there's actual theories on what's the best order to watch the Star Wars films in. Yeah. And so I think I'm going to try this one. I don't remember what it's called. So you watch episode 4, you watch episode 5. Okay. Then you go back, you watch episode 1, 2, and 3. Because in 5 you get the reveal that he's Luke's father.
Oh yeah, I guess.
So then you get his backstory. Then you go to episode 6, and then 7, 8, and 9. So I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna try it at least.
Now, does it does that watching order include like things like Solo or Rogue One at all? Or?
Not that one, but I would assume. So if you're gonna watch 4, you would watch Rogue One and Solo before 4.
Probably, yeah. Or
I don't know, right after 4.
I mean, I feel like Rogue One, like that movie works better if you know the significance of certain
This is
things.
not a way to watch it if you've never watched it before.
No.
So I would say Rogue One would probably be the first one you watch, then Episode 4, then maybe. So I don't know where Solo would fit on that.
I think Solo is like
it is set before, but I don't know
Rogue
if
One,
it would be better served watching before or after.
I don't know. I mean, but
It's its own thing.
It's
I would say
yeah.
if you take those movies out of it, that's how I'm going to try to watch is 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8.
Mm-hmm.
And then by that time, maybe 9's on Blu-ray or digital.
It might be. Who knows?
Because I'll probably watch like one a week or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that might be the way to do it.
And we did that a little bit for a while when it comes to viewing parties.
Yep.
But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Rise of Skywalker, second go around.
Yeah.
Thought it was good still.
Yeah. I still haven't seen it for a second time yet. I mean, I probably will wait till like maybe Blu-ray or something, or, Disney Plus, whichever one comes first here, to, see how it fares on a second viewing, just because most of the time, at least when I know for me, like, I think in order to get like a full grasp on like what my opinion on a Star Wars movie is, just because there's so much nostalgia attached to that, I think I have to, view it like maybe one or two more times in order to actually, get a solid opinion.
Yeah.
So
sounds good.
Yep.
Well, that's it. We are done. Thank you guys so much for listening. We greatly appreciate it. You can check us out on our social media, on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You heard nerds. And you can also support us directly on Patreon at patreon.com/withnerds. We greatly appreciate that as well. I don't remember what you said about that. Keeps the mics on, keeps the lights on.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, we just want you to have an awesome week. And remember, everyone's a nerd about something.
Yeah.